On their third wedding anniversary, the gift Madison Maddox received was a video of her husband and his secretary going at it in a car, trending #1 across every platform. Every guest in that banquet hall had their eyes locked on her, waiting for the notoriously fierce Mrs. Delgado to shatter, to scream, to make a scene worthy of the headlines. Instead, she calmly arranged for the guests to leave. Then she drove straight to the Delgado estate and said the words she'd been holding inside. "I want to divorce Joel. I'm pregnant, and I need you to keep it from him." Phyllis Delgado was struck by equal measures of heartbreak and shock. The woman who had loved her son so fiercely was now carrying his child, asking for a divorce, and refusing to let him know. Madison let out a bitter laugh. She had loved Joel. When his car accident left him broken, she'd abandoned her own future and career to walk that long road beside him. But after the wedding, Joel's amnesia episodes became routine. He'd forget her, forget their marriage, and lose himself in one woman after another. She'd thrown away her dignity and her pride. She'd fought, she'd wept, she'd threatened. He'd come back to his senses and apologize, and the very next day he'd be kissing someone else on the street. She kept telling herself he was sick. Then, the day before, she'd heard the truth. The voice on the other end of the phone had been teasing, amused. "You really found yourself a brilliant excuse. But seriously, you don't love her anymore?" Joel had scoffed. "I used to. But I got bored. She's not young anymore, and she's suspicious of every little thing. Besides, what man can love just one woman his whole life?" In that single moment, her mind went blank, and something inside her died. Fine, then. She would leave. And she would take the child growing inside her with her. But after the divorce, when Joel learned the truth, he would lose his mind and drop to his knees, begging for her forgiveness. Their third wedding anniversary. Madison Maddox received a very special gift. A video of Joel Delgado and his secretary tangled together in the back of his car, rocketing to the top of every trending list online. Half an hour earlier, he had been holding her hand as they cut the anniversary cake together. His voice had been tender. "Every year from now on," he'd murmured. "Just like this." Now every pair of eyes in the banquet hall was fixed on Madison. Curiosity, mockery, pity, all braided together. They were waiting for the famously fierce Mrs. Delgado to crack, to crumble, to give them a show. "Ma'am, should I pull up his location?" Spencer's expression was strained, his voice dropping lower with every word. "I'm sure it's just Mr. Delgado's amnesia flaring up again." The old Mrs. Delgado had given strict orders, nothing was to upset the young madam today. All Spencer could do was invoke Joel's condition and hope she'd stay calm. Madison's face showed nothing at all. "Don't bother. The footage is grainy. Just get it taken down." Spencer stood frozen, unable to believe what he'd heard. The murmurs among the guests erupted like a kicked hornet's nest. "She's not going after him? Did I hear that right? Last time Joel was spotted on a date with some influencer, she'd just come out of surgery. She literally dragged herself out of bed and threatened to end herself if he didn't come home. And on her birthday, when he brought that little starlet? She blacklisted the girl from the entire industry and had their wedding photos playing on loop at the venue to mark her territory. But it's just his post-accident condition acting up. He forgets the marriage, forgets her. And every woman he goes after looks at least 70% like Madison. Exactly. That proves she's the one he really loves. But does she care? No. She makes a federal case out of every little slip. Zero compassion for what he's going through. Every cruel word, every mocking laugh, landed in Madison's ears without missing a syllable.